In this video I'm going to show you how to convert an angular mapped HDRI image into a spherical mapped HDRI image and process it along the way using Bryce. The HDRI I'm going to use for this example is this Anteroom HDRI by Horo. It's here in 3 different resolutions, medium resolution, high resolution and a specular convolved low resolution image. And the intention of using that is because Horo's made quite a few HDRI images and you might want to make use of them in other applications, and in this example I'm going to use Octane. In this simple scene in Octane I'm using a texture environment that is just full white, so if I switch the panoramic camera in Octane you can see that the background's quite plain, and the result of using a very plain background is the reflections on this glossy material are really quite boring and don't tell you very much about the geometry of the object or make it look very realistic. If I could get a realistic background in here, then the render would look more realistic. So having a HDRI image is ideal for this example. So in Bryce what I'm going to do is go into the Skylab image based lighting tab, use HDRI image and open the medium resolution Anteroom HDRI. I don't need a high resolution version because it's being used for reflections on a non-flat surface, so I don't need that degree of information. I'm going to tone map it, so that's using Bryce's built-in tone mapper, and I'll just increase the brightness a bit, so increase the intensity. Because I'm not doing any rendering this, I'll drop the quality, and so I can show you what this looks like I'm just going to add it to the sky, check out of here and turn the atmosphere off and make it fully black, and then get rid of the ground and do a quick panoramic render. There you go, in Bryce. So you can see that it's a full 360 degree and 180 degree background, even though because of the panoramic camera in Bryce we can't see the top and bottom. If I just tilt it back you'll see that the top and bottom is there. So it's all there all the way around, and that's very handy. So I want that in Octane. Now in Octane I can switch the white output texture here to an image, and then if I navigate to the HDR image and load it in, okay, it looks like it's working. You'll see there it is. That looks very similar to Bryce, so that looks fine. But if we switch to the panoramic camera, now you'll see there's a bit of a problem. It's not mapped to the background correctly, and that's because Octane is expecting a spherical map, not an angular map. As it happens though, Bryce can help us out here. So if I switch back to Bryce and go back into the Skylab, what I can do is export this image. I can export image and make sure I select HDR again, so I've got the advantages of the high dynamic range, but also instead of light probe, which is the angular map format, I'll switch it to spherical map, which is a format that Octane is prepared to tolerate. So I'll just give this an appropriate name, save that. It'll take a little bit of exporting. If I'd chosen the higher resolution version it'd probably take a bit longer, but it's still not too bad. And then I'll go back to Octane now, and I'm going to load in here, so I click the load button, and instead of selecting that one I'll go to where I've saved the spherical map, open that one up, and then you can see from the panoramic projection here that I've got a full image. The ground's in the way just there, but you can see that. And I'll go back to my original camera and increase the power output of this a little bit to brighten the scene up, and then if I'm patient the noise will gradually disappear. It doesn't usually take too long. This path tracing render kernel is quite similar in a lot of ways to Bryce's true ambience renderer, but whereas Bryce depends on CPU, which it's only got 4 real cores, the Octane can use a graphics card which has many more cores on it. So I've got a GeForce GTX 660 here. I think it's got something ridiculous like 960 1 gigahertz separate cores that Octane can take advantage of to do the processing. So the noise tends to vanish quite quickly with Octane. So I suppose that's the end of the video really. I just thought I'd provide you with that little bit of an insight into using Bryce as a way of tone mapping and converting a HDRI image from angular map to spherical map. So if you've got a piece of software like Octane, then you can also use your angular map HDRI images that you've got in Bryce that you've either purchased or created in Bryce, because remember you've always got the option in Bryce of converting your sky into a HDRI image, and that can just as easily be converted and exported for use in other software. So you have quite an extensive source of HDRI backdrops purely with that option alone. Okay then, that's the end of the video.